Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 50-50 Take It or Leave It podcast. And in today's episode, we talk about decision making. It was a decision to yell that. You guys make decisions every day.
I like that.
And because you yelled it, now I can't hear things.
Yes.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Yeah.
We get into that a little bit too in our DnD discussion. All that and more in this episode of 50-50 Take It or Leave It. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 50-50 Take It or Leave It podcast, and we're talking about decision-making today. And speaking of which, you lovely people made a decision today. When you clicked on this video, great job, you intellectuals.
Yeah,
now, Mitch, what do you think about making decisions? Are they easy to you? Are they hard to you? Kyle, I want to hear your take on it as well. But
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
See, I just made a decision
Grade
that
A podcasting. Great decision that we came out here tonight on this beautiful, cold Tuesday.
I
It
really
is
should have
cold.
turned your mic down before you did that because that
Yeah.
was all up in my ear.
There was build up to it, too.
Yeah.
I was
didn't
just saying,
anything. I didn't
you guys
say
saw
anything.
it.
Sudden.
It's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, it depends on the decision. Like, for me, I'm pretty... Being a broadcasting major, you have to be trained to, like, just make quick decisions and just be confident with them and just run with it. Even if it's kind of the wrong decision, you're just like, yes, I'm going to stick by this, and it's going to be the right decision. But,
Okay.
so most of my life decisions, the non-big ones, are just like, yep, this is how it's going to go, and poof.
All
Where, like, if anyone ever decides to date me, where do you want to go eat? I don't know. Fine, we're going to go eat here. And then that's it.
That's it.
I gave you the
No,
option.
No. And I don't want to like push anybody away from our podcast, but do you know what the answer is going to be to that when you ask where do you want to go? I don't know. Oh, we're going here. Do you know what the answer is going to be? Well, I don't like here.
Screams.
Yeah.
Well, no, there was actually, I saw a TikTok, or maybe it wasn't a TikTok, some video.
Yeah.
It's probably a TikTok, because
Okay.
that's where I get all of my media from
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
The best way to get around that is ask them, well, where do you think I'm going
Guess
to...
where we're going to
Yeah.
eat.
And then if they respond, I don't know, well, then you ask, well, where do you think I'm going to take you? And their first response is
Where we're going.
That's where you're going, yep.
Or if it's Burger King, then you're like, no, it's not Burger King.
It's not
Stupid.
Come on.
It's not BK. What the? No.
No, where do you think
no.
I'm taking you? We going to Brow Bros? Yes, we're going to Brow Bros.
Bingo,
That's
bongo,
expensive,
and you
yeah.
Decision made.
Take them right straight to
That's
Culver's.
smart. That's a good decision.
Yeah.
Mitch.
Yeah, it's well played. I haven't been able to enact it.
Well,
So,
we're
working
take,
on
wins in this house.
Exactly.
You only take dubs. You
Yes.
only take
Only
dubs.
dubs.
All right.
Anyway, but regarding big decisions, it's a pro and cons list for me. That's the best way I've found to make the big life decisions.
Yeah.
It's the most effective.
Definitely a process to make big life decisions. Kyle, do you got a process?
Yeah. So you can call me the essential overthinker when it comes to making
yes.
decisions.
In no particular order.
In no exactly like that.
Yes.
Kyle, we're doing a list from 1 to 5.
I'm just
in no
saying-
particular order. Kyle!
I'm just saying. Even when it comes to like the big decisions, it's a lot of me thinking more about long-term consequences. Like if I do
Or
this,
perceived long-term.
right. Like if I do this thing, what will happen? You know, like what do I perceive happening in the future? Pros and cons are also something that I also think about, but me is more about what will happen if I do or don't like do this kind of thing. If I don't decide to like college decisions is like, what if I don't want to go to this college? What would happen? You know, or if I went to this college, what would happen? It's risks. I can think about risks, consequences, long-term, like just long-term goals or long-term rewards that could benefit me in the future. A lot of those things come into the bigger decisions, and then when it comes to like the smaller ones, I kind of go with yours. I kind of just go with the flow of things. Sometimes I'll have a dead set like.
Well, go with the flow is different than what Mitch was talking about. Mitch was talking about when there's not much progress. It's just boom, here's what we're doing now.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess I guess for me it's more like
more easygoing.
Yeah, like whatever kind of happens. It's
Yeah,
like
okay.
if I
This is why Kyle and I are friends.
Right.
Ah, man, I don't give a crap. Okay, we're doing this then.
yeah, because
That-
I'm the
that's how
kind of
that
person
goes.
who's like I'm good with whatever, and Mitch is more like the all right, well we're gonna do this, and I'm like all right, let's sure.
Sometimes.
Sometimes
I just don't have the energy.
Sometimes it's just like, oh,
Please,
no,
someone else make the
I'm
decision.
good. Yeah, but most
I
of the
feel
time
that.
we kind of mesh like that, where it's
Yeah.
like you have someone who's a little more laid back and kind of goes with whatever happens, and someone else is just kind of more on the side of like, well, let's do this, and you got me to back you up. So
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm good with whatever.
I'm sure you
essentially.
see that indeed when we do our sessions.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes we get a little slow.
No, I don't think you guys ever like actually get like slow. I think you take your time through things that need their time taken slowly. Like you work through things instead of just
Yeah.
like breezing past stuff. You do breeze past stuff sometimes, and that's good too.
yeah,
Yeah. Because,
There's
story
never-
needs to progress.
Right. There's never a wrong way to play, and
Yeah.
that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. But anyway,
We'll get to that.
yeah. Did you finish up kind of?
Yeah, that's kind of what essentially what it comes down to for me: long-term goals, risks, consequences.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And like just how it will impact me, and then shorter decisions, I just go with the flow of whatever happens.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, so I think it depends. I learned that phrase from I've always known the phrase, but
Right.
it has more meaning in life now since I started taking political science classes, because in that class you don't use stereotypes, but stereotypes can be helpful in understanding why certain people vote certain ways and why certain
Yeah.
districts do blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Bores a lot of you guys. I find it fascinating. So it depends. If I'm with a group, I try to be fair.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I just do in life. Is a lot of the times I try to be fair. So like if it's a group decision, I'm like, okay, who wants to do this? Who wants to do this? This is what I want to do. And sometimes when I crack the whip and people bitch about it, I'm just like, okay, then you guys try to figure it out for the next hour and a half. I'm going to go do whatever I'm going to do and come back to me when you guys finally have a decision.
Yep.
Because
Okay.
that's a risk when you make decisions, right?
Yeah.
You won't make people happy all the time.
Nope, can't make everyone happy.
Cannot
No,
please
you can't.
everyone. It took me a long time to learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried pleasing everybody, and I caused so much anxiety and stress for myself. It was ridiculous. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where the overthinking.
I
comes
still
from for
get
me,
stressed from
so.
like people not being happy with me, but I'm like,
I kind of have that right now in the play because I'm like messing up my lines a lot. I think both of the stage managers are getting frustrated, but one of them is definitely more frustrated, I think, than the other, which is disheartening. But I also, if I don't know it, I got to call for a line. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's how it works.
It just. I mean, the stage managers need to be. I mean, I also
It's
understand
not like
where that
on
comes.
them.
Yeah,
I
I
need
also
to have my
understand
lines
that.
down,
Yeah,
but-
I also understand that it is getting closer and closer to the day of like when you guys have to show.
Right.
So it's like we should be able to get this done, but I can also understand where you're coming from, where it's like sometimes you just forget things. I mean,
Well, and
It's
it's just monologues that
yeah,
I've got.
and monologues are not easy to just be like, oh yeah, I got
And it's
that
monologue
brain.
after monologue with dates in them as well,
Yeah.
like each of them, which you're like, oh, dates, that makes it easier to remember. No. 'Cause
No.
it's all like June 10th, May 9th, like, and
Yeah.
it's like, you try pulling May 9th and June 10th out of your bum after you just talked about how Quincy Adams did whatever.
Yeah, it's
Like-
a lot. It's a lot.
It gets to be a little bit, but, part of me is an actor. Anyway, so that's for group decisions. I try to be fair. I try to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. And then if they don't come to a conclusion, I'll throw down my thing. And if I'm in the leadership position, that's what we're doing.
That's just how it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm alone, it's harder for me
Yeah.
to make decisions. And not so much small decisions. A lot of times I'll do that. But,
Bigger ones.
well, I
probably.
put on the face of, like, if I need to make a decision, I make it. Like,
yep.
But when I'm really alone and I'm just with my thoughts, I think about things way too much. More than probably even you, Kyle.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel where you're coming because once you're like in group, it's easy to kind of go with decisions. I mean, there's group think, like kind of like
Group think is a serious, like a real thing.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's not so much groupthink as it is when I see that there is no decision being made.
Yeah, right.
It fosters my drive to say, here's how it's going to be.
right. But when you're alone, it's like, well, you
It's
don't have
just
anything to
me,
really bounce
yeah.
off. It's just you. So
Right.
It's like I don't have a second opinion on things.
Well, and I'm my own second opinion, which is not a good
Never,
thing.
yeah.
No.
You always hear like the listen to your gut, listen to your heart kind of stuff, but even that's sometimes like just because
And that is helpful.
it is.
Especially when I was talking to my dad the other day great. By the way, anybody out there, if you need advice, go talk to your dad. Like, they have such good advice. They really do, either parent. Not that one has better than the other, but your parents, great advice. And he was telling me, like, your gut tells you stuff for a reason. It's because it's right. And I was just getting this, like, I don't know, there was something that was happening. I'm like, this ain't right.
Yeah, if you feel something in your gut, chances are it's your body telling, like, yo, dude.
Right.
Stop.
But you don't always hear that voice.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of
It is
decisions.
hard. You gotta search it out almost. Like,
Yeah.
Unless it's just glaring and you can't, your subconscious can't ignore it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in that case, you're like, ooh.
Right.
Yikers.
Right.
Yeah.
There have been plenty of times I've ignored my gut and it came back to bite me in the butt.
Right.
A lot.
Yeah. And it's
Every time, honestly. I don't think there's been a time I've ignored my gut and come out the better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
I've learned that I'll listen to my gut and then be like, nope, that was the wrong decision, and change the decision, and then I'm like, crap, I had it right the first time. And that's something that just blows. It's like, dang it, I had it right the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not fun to have that feeling, but also having that like feeling of like I didn't listen to my gut, and then, or I did, and I changed it because I didn't trust it. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
Because like you start to
But
lean.
you do have to learn from it.
Yeah.
Like,
You start to lean into it more. Like maybe I should
Exactly.
listen to my gut more because I didn't let this time.
I will say, when I make a decision and I end up not failing at it, but it doesn't come to the outcome that I want,
yeah.
but I've learned something through the process. Like, for example, not to go on a tangent here, but going into my junior year, that summer right before that, I did an internship through KSFY. I think I've talked about it a couple of times on the podcast, but
Yes.
it sucks because I didn't get paid, and I learned that I did not want to do local sports coverage. Now, it sucks because when I was done with the internship, I hated it. I was like, I just wasted a whole summer and made hardly any money. But then I stopped myself and I was like, wait a minute. I did learn something. I learned what I didn't want to do in the future.
You hated
Right.
this, and this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's something that I think people underappreciate. When they have a failed decision or a failed outcome, they don't focus on the stuff that they learned from that sequence of events.
It's I'm bad at it.
Yeah, they only
They get down
hyper
on
focus on
themselves.
that, exactly. And they don't take all the positives that came out of that whole sequence of events.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. I think that's why people get so negative sometimes. They only hyper focus on the negative thing that happened.
Yeah.
And yes, it sucked. I wasted a whole summer. But at the same time, I know for my future career path that's something I don't want to go down. And I will avoid and not do because I'm going to hate myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that should be said, is that like decisions that don't go the way you thought they were going to, don't take it as an L. Don't chalk it up as a loss. Take it as a learning experience. Actually, do take it as an L. Take it as a learning experience, not a
L
loss.
is in learning, yeah.
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 I think that there's something to be said when it comes to decision making as well when you're afraid.
Yeah.
I think if you're afraid to make a decision, and it's not because you're afraid of the outcome, it's because you're afraid of the act of whatever you're doing itself, you should
Yep.
do it. Because, did I talk about it on the podcast? God hides like the best
Yeah,
things behind a wall. of
We've
terror.
talked about it a
talked
little
about
bit.
it.
Yeah.
That's really true.
Yeah, we
It
talked
is.
about it in a previous, like I think the
Yeah.
last episode that we did.
Not to get into like a motivational, like,
Right.
aspect of anything, but
Well, decision making is based on motive. Like,
Yeah.
what is your drive behind that decision? So I think we should touch on it. It's a driving force behind decision making.
there is. It's a want almost like a not a hunger, maybe a hunger if
Like
you
a
want to be
desire? I think
that's a
successful.
desire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunger, desire. I think those two work
One-
well.
I think one has more aggression than the other, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I mean, you got to be aggressive in this world, though. Like you're only
You can't.
your only spokesperson is you. Like
Right.
everybody else is either gonna try to like get on top of you or like beat you out. Like
Yeah.
Dog eat dog world.
dog eat dog world, and it really is. Like
There are a
Yeah.
few
hard
people
to
that you
say.
can truly say that have you in your corner.
right.
It's hard to find those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people don't
They
want to
have a
see you
sec-
succeed.
They have a secret agenda.
They do.
I took I forget what class it was. I think it was small group communications.
Yeah.
And something.
It's like a very interesting class.
Oh, it's a great class. It's hard because Mark Fokin teaches it, and his classes are just typically harder because he make sure you learn your stuff, which is
Yeah.
important.
He puts a lot of
a good
emphasis.
professor, just hard professor.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not a dick. He just
No.
makes sure you learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the things we discussed in talking about small group communication and how that all functions is someone who has a secret agenda, that will be the first demise of a group, and how you won't achieve what your group's goal you're set out to achieve, because they have a secret agenda that they're never going to tell the group.
Yeah. Like,
So you will subconsciously do decisions to achieve your secret agenda.
Instead of helping the
The
group.
group.
yeah.
Wow, interesting.
And it's one of those things where in a group you kind of have to have that sense of like honesty, openness, because we talk about that. There are phases and stages in groups.
Yeah,
You know,
group.
forming.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's very interesting.
yeah, it's if I let me see if I
Communication theory is underappreciated,
there's
and
a
you can identify like with it. This is kind of like a
Psychology. class?
psychology.
Yeah.
Well, it's not it's a psychology thing to do is where you take the theories you talk about.
Psychological thing to do.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
Like applying it to the real world.
yeah, applying it to the real world,
Yeah.
kind of. Whereas psychology students will sometimes ask you questions, not because they care, but because they're applying theories that they learned in class to.
and analyze you.
That's messed up.
It is. They're not supposed to, but
They do it,
they do it.
and like
Well, have you ever? I don't know. There was this girl that would like talk about like psychology theories that she was learning, and then like explain them, being like, "Have you ever done this? This is why," and just kind of break it down real simple. But
wow, thank you.
That
Yeah.
sounds really interesting. I wish I had known like that. That was so like useful in the real world. I might have like taken some more courses in it.
Yeah, and I think
isn't small group comm a 300 level class?
I believe so.
You
You
should
have
look
to have
into
prerequisites.
Nope.
No, I think you can
No.
just jump into it.
What is it in? What's it on?
communications.
Communication studies.
I think I looked. I'll check again.
Yeah,
If it's-
'cause
if it's open, I'll.
one of
definitely
the-
do it. You said it was hard though.
It's just his teaching method. It can be a little it can be a little hard, but not like
Challenging?
not
Challenging.
Yeah, not in the way where it's
Challenging's
like
a
I
good
don't
word.
understand what he's doing. It's just like it's one of those things where it's like he's just trying to help you learn, and he's gonna give you a lot to like kind of do.
To digest, yeah. Okay.
Right.
He understands teaching, and he applies the best teaching method to make sure it sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because 5 years, I took it my freshman year. 5 years from now, it's engraved in my brain. And partially because I would think about those theories and then see how they play out. Because there's a lot of, you work in group dynamics a lot
Yeah. You every day. We're social creatures.
every day. And you can apply said theories to your group social dynamics.
Wow.
Yikers.
Grope, bro.
Yikers.
What does psychology say about accidentally slipping that word into a sentence?
I think that's a Freudian slip. I think
Yeah,
that's what
Freudian
a
slip.
Freudian
He was
slip.
looking at me.
Yeah,
Specifically
so-
my chest.
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
He wasn't.
And
He
it kind
wasn't.
of piggyback off of what Mitch is talking about, like the group stuff. Like you start to enter that class and you start to see like it
Have you
happening.
taken it too?
Yeah.
We
Wow.
have to as
Yeah, as
broadcast
comm
majors.
majors.
cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that I took from it is the 4 stages of a group, right? Because they're supposed for a group to kind of function perfectly, you need to go through the 4 stages, and it's like forming, storming, norming, and performing, right?
You see it in Critical Role.
You see a lot of it in like big team up movies.
Avengers.
I guess
you can
Justice
apply the
League,
theory directly.
Suicide
So
Squad.
give me a breakdown then.
Yeah, okay.
I don't mean to go down this tangent,
Yeah.
but I'm fascinated.
So they
by
kind
it.
of give you a
So forming when they all meet up, right?
right.
Yep,
so
that's
forming,
when the Avengers meet each other.
Yep,
and
so-
Nick Fury's like, "You are the Avengers." Blah,
yeah,
blah, blah,
and you
blah.
have to you're kind of introduced. You're introducing each other. They're kind of like they're forming a bond, right? So
Yep.
they're forming like this like group. Kind of the intro stages.
So you
right?
form the group, right?
Then there's the
Storming.
storming, which is the conflict.
fighting.
Ah.
Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man just going at each other
Yep.
in that forest scene.
See,
where-
storming. When you said that, I thought it was like storming like the castle. Like you
No,
guys
no,
go out
no,
and
no.
Do something, but no.
Storming
it's
is like
storm within.
yeah.
Yep, you fight amongst
you have
each
to
other.
have conflict from within to kind of come through it. And
My
then
guess is that's
grow
when
better
most
as a
groups
team.
break apart. Then, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's one of the hardest stages. Surprisingly, my small group comm group never had a storming phase.
Oh, my small group comm had storming. We
Yeah.
could not agree on anything
Like,
for a while.
Our group, I mean, we also
Fascinating.
We also succumbed
And there's
to
like
groupthink too. But
I don't remember this specifically, but there's certain roles, like they break down like certain roles that each person will play within a group. You have your leader and your
timekeeper,
and your
moderator.
person that kind of
I'm a
keeps the pe-
moderator then, right?
Yeah, you probably
Slash leader.
Slash leader. You'd probably take the leader slash moderator role. You kind of keep the conflicts like controlled if there are any.
But you mainly drive the conversation forward and you keep things going.
Mm-hmm. And
that's the leader's job, is to make sure things keep moving
run
forward and you guys obtain your goal that you're trying to do.
Yeah. And so the storming phase, definitely hardest part of the entire thing, because that can make groups fall apart easily. However, you get out of that stage and you enter the norming stage. So
and in the Avengers, it's when they start they normalize on defeating Loki.
They all kind of they're coming together.
Then.
Yeah, they come together. They're starting to normalize with each other through the conflicts and all the bad
with
stuff.
With a goal then as well.
They all come out with a singular
usually they
goal.
find their singular goal that they can all focus on.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then finally the performing stage, which is actually going out there and completing the job.
Yeah.
They defeat Loki.
So then what happens to your group?
Well, that's all. I mean, by that point, you guys should be like closely knitted together in terms of like dynamic, because like
then it's like a wave.
Yeah.
You'll find a new goal that you want to set,
and that might splinter your group, or
it'll cause conflict because you'll have a new goal and you'll have to go through the whole process again.
Over again.
Yep.
The
communications always restart.
Yeah. The forming stage kind of disappears.
It's great.
Like the forming stage like disappears by that point because you already know the people, right?
Right.
Like so it just becomes
back right to the storming.
Back to storming, and sometimes there won't be moments that you just don't have that storming moment because we are on the same page.
Question then.
Yeah.
The boys' trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, the forming happened when you guys met me at my dorm, and then we talked at Applebee's, and then we had the goal of like hanging out or whatever, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We went and we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we still like hung out and stuff. But then, what was the new goal that we had that caused us like to break apart?
There was a sense of, I think, a hierarchy starting to form.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there was a goal would be like to associate leaders and power systems. And
that's right.
In a sense, and
subconsciously we were doing that was our goal, but I don't think that was the
that wasn't the group spoken goal, but
subconsciously that was the group trying to figure out who the hierarchy was.
Some people
feel that.
Yeah, some people felt there were some people who definitely felt like there was something like a power divide. Others didn't.
I said, if we establish this hierarchy, we will fall apart.
I definitely...
and look what happened.
There were times when I felt like I would like voice my opinion and...
it would be completely washed over by something else.
Nobody would say anything, but then I would find out later that it was talked about between some people, and then it got washed out, and I was like, oh...
Right, yeah.
Well...
And that's kind of the thing that was a storming phase for us, because we were all... in a weird place of like power divide,
because we did have it was a good group dynamic, and we achieved it.
We did fantastic.
Yep. Yeah. And then new conflict or new goal.
New conflict.
New goal. Yeah.
And we couldn't overcome it.
Fascinating though. Actually,
and then
it
the
is.
Groups,
it is. It's so great.
And from that storming stage, brought out upon. Because not everyone survived the storming.
Leaning forward.
And not everyone really survived the storming phase.
Yeah.
Which then brought it back to the forming stage of a sense, because then it started to break apart everybody, and then the subgroups started to be formed together. I was about to say, is
that why the D&D group got started then? After that, or was that in like the middle?
There's a lot of like different smaller subgroups in the friend group of different people kind of separated in different things to cause another forming stage. And
I think we tried to salvage what was happening, and we all latched onto D&D
as a means.
So then we started.
Goal, by the way,
fantastic. And obviously, we're still doing great with it. Yeah.
And
what happens when the campaign ends?
Yeah,
it won't.
Hopefully, never.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And that's the thing too, because like
start a new one.
Yeah,
start a new one.
Yeah, and the thing,
and then we have artificial storming and forming and all that stuff, so that way
you see it
never get out of like
you see
the
it
actual
in
like
you see
goal.
it in the campaign too.
Like, you see it in our campaign.
There's moments when we've met each other forming, and then
we're still kind of storming. We're coming out of storming. We
finally managed to all kind of.
They're still storming.
There's still storming happening
because some people like the goal that's happening now, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah, and
there's some people that don't.
Yeah,
like Edwin. Edwin is not for the goal that you guys are on right now.
Right. And that's just something that has to be addressed.
And that's part of
maybe more people are. I don't know.
In order to,
and that's why D&D dynamics are so interesting, because everyone has a secret agenda.
Yeah,
it's so the other people's secret agendas, so that helps, but it's secret.
You also see them like put the the pieces forward of their secret agenda while the group moves forward.
Yes.
You watch as one piece maybe slowly gets put a little bit to the left of everybody else.
Exactly.
You start to have to make the choice between yourself or the group.
Or how far along do you go with the group before you really start helping yourself?
Exactly.
You know, maybe you help move the group goal.
You shift
to
it.
your secret.
Yeah, you shift it.
Shift,
and that's
yeah.
why small
Communication
group comm
theory
is
is
so good.
Fantastic.
Because
And
you can
that's all decision making.
Yeah.
Every bit of
Secret agendas. The storming phase is
it. I
probably
think that's an important part of like decision making is having a goal, which then leads into all of this.
You need to have a goal. You can't go through life without a goal.
And you can't always achieve your goals alone, which is why you need groups.
Exactly.
You need something. You need a second opinion, or at least a third, a fourth, a fifth.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, when it comes down to it, you can't kind of live alone. You know.
Well, no one can live alone.
You can't live alone. You know, it's just one of those things where you have to have something to maybe cling on to. Or
I was looking up quotes today, and I forget the quote I was looking up because I was looking at Wormwood, not to sponsor plug here, but I'm really hoping to get a super vault thing where I can put my pencil, mini, and dice. But anyways,
nice.
you know, Wormwood, if you're listening, that'd be great. You want to send that to me?
Hook me up.
I would love that.
Hook
exactly.
me up.
But no, I was looking it up, and I wanted to put an engraving on it because I'm really thinking about getting one because I think they're super dope.
But what would you engrave on it?
I
got one from Wormwood, the dice vault.
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, I saw yours. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And then I looked them up, and I'm like, they're spendy, but
that was my Christmas and birthday present for a year.
Well, I mean, they have one that's $75.
Yeah, but mine's a little different.
Yeah, yours is very customized. And I probably wouldn't add that much. Maybe the engraved quote, but
it's so cool.
It is so.
Bro,
it's a werewolf standing on the skulls of his enemies while the blood like drips down. Oh,
dude, like
so
with the moon in the back.
Yeah, because
with that blue. It's not a light blue. It's like a lightning blue.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's just werewolves are my favorite mythical creature of all time.
They're mine too.
Right?
Lycanthropes are pretty cool.
They're so cool.
Whenever I like movies like and they kind of go off a little bit off tangent again, like movies that involve werewolves, not like Twilight werewolves, but like if we're like Underworld. I know Underworld's kind of like. If you look at it now, it's like
too much of
it. Well, it's essentially vampires versus werewolves.
Nice.
Which is like that's lit, and it revolves around a female vampire, and she meets this guy who's like a hybrid vampire werewolf thing. So he kind of enters like a feral mode where he looks grayish like a werewolf, but he also has like the abilities of a vampire. It's
multi-classing.
He's multi-classing, yeah. So essentially, like werewolves are just they're just nice because you can do a lot in terms of story too. About like it doesn't have to be a painful transformation. It could just be like a thing that you kind of just turn into, but you can make it like a curse. You can make it be like I was stricken, I was wounded by one, and now I'm one, or I was born with it, or
exactly.
You can do so much with just that, which is why like. And I mean, it kind of
makes such interesting characters.
Kind of transitioned into a little bit more into DnD. It's like one of the biggest classes that I wanted to play for the longest time was a blood hunter because of that. Like,
I actually made a playable race that's werewolf, so that way you can still have like fighter abilities and stuff.
But you turn into a werewolf.
But you are like a werewolf, so that way you can also be barbarian.
Is that what you wanted to show Braden?
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually he. I'll have to show it to you. He sent us a document on a ranger. But like a hybrid ranger class.
Yeah.
I'll have to show that to you in break.
I think I know what it is. It's the like UA or whatever. Something not UA. That's
it's like a revised. It's a revised ranger that is.
It's a revised beast class.
That was like he doesn't have magic. It's just I am a ranger. Like,
I'm a ranger with an animal companion.
No spells, no nothing. It's just I'm just a like Legolas essentially with an animal companion.
All right. Well, I think we'll take a break real quick, but then we'll get back to D&D. We already touched on it a little bit, but thank you guys so much. We'll be right back. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss the latest session. It's kind of like TV.
Yeah, it's kind of like an episode for us. I mean,
it really is.
Yeah,
we've tried getting it in the studio.
Yeah, we never ended up. Anyway,
it happens. It happens.
It does happen, especially where we last left off, I guess I'll leave it to you guys. As always, I'll take a back seat.
Mitch, would you like to introduce the?
Yeah. So the last session we went over was we found we didn't know this at the time, but it was a Titan, the Mind Titan.
Yeah, the Titan of the Mind.
We found that, and then there was a rip in space made, and Cerulean pulled us through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saved our butts yet again.
Yeah. Very clutch.
Did she pull you all
save.
through?
She did not.
No,
She did not pull the captain through.
The captain was left there.
Captain was left there, and we can go into it a little bit later, but Cerulean does talk a little bit about it, because I've kind of figured out something about her just a little bit.
Yeah, what's up? Give me that insight. I'm curious.
Well, when she does her stuff, like when she kills people, and she does all these things, she has a tendency to not really think about the consequences of killing people, right? Because with the captain, when we told her you left that captain there, she didn't say oh, I know. She was like, oh, I thought he was just one of the other people. I didn't grab him, because he in her mind, the most important people there were the aspects, right?
And I think,
and when she killed Lucifer,
yeah, I think that was I don't know from your standpoint, but from my standpoint, that was a big moment.
Right. I mean,
they cared about him enough to where they won't shut his room to reset.
Yeah, which we can go into a little bit later too. And we'd also talk about the mentors, right? And it's a really,
I don't know if from your standpoint that was an moment for their character.
And Oberyn didn't mention to Cerulean that
I'll give you this insight.
Yeah.
Cerulean has her goals,
right?
And it's hard. It's hard for anybody when they're actively pursuing something to lose sight of the picture that they have in their mind that they're working towards.
Right. You start to kind of lose about the focus of everything else, because
it's not that you lose focus of everything else. It's that you are focused. Everything else is whizzing by. You're moving towards your goal. It makes moving towards your goal harder when you have to think about the things you're leaving behind and passing.
Right. And
so
the mentors, right?
There's a being of immense power.
Yeah.
Right in the palm of your hand that you can take. That wasn't even supposed to be here. This is perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. Couldn't have asked for a better situation. Boom. You do it. You get back the people that you're with.
Yeah.
Because I can't use adjectives right now without
going into
conveying
something.
Want.
Yeah.
Or without conveying goals.
Yep.
The people you're with, they are deeply saddened. One even says, yeah, there's a point of contention about that specifically with you.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know that he meant that much to you guys.
Right.
I can't say I'm sorry because it's already
happened.
Done.
It's too late to apologize, right?
Right.
Sorry fixes some things. This isn't one of them.
And to kind of go a little bit more, to go into that a little bit deeper, the manner, right? You talked about at the end of that session a little bit, before she saved us, she killed the archmages and stuff. We didn't know who they were. We just thought they were random archmages. Of course, we talked to Cerulean about what happened.
Some of them were random.
Some of them were random, right? And one of the things that Oberyn does, because we also noticed that the soldiers are drow, which is the soldiers that come in to help Cerulean are drow people, right?
They're all drow.
They're all drow, and it's
which Leof
does notice, and she does
she almost enjoys it. She's comfort. She's comforted by it
until
she realizes what that actually means. Yeah,
they've been taken.
You didn't give one key point about them.
They were all unified under the the Ogham.
Well, under Ogham.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were all under the influence of Ogham.
Right?
Yeah. For people, it's the one that is many. It's just
they all had the shining
blue eyes. They spoke in unison.
Yeah.
Essentially, she took the army and then just turned them into well,
she didn't.
The one that is many did, and turned them into puppets that they vessels in a sense. So
many avatars.
Many avatars, and Oberyn sees this, right, and he doesn't because the Ogham is talking to them if you have questions, talk to me and things like that. Oberyn doesn't do that, right? He walks past them. He's I don't want to talk. I want to see something. He sees the robes and he sees like the people who died, right? And he's like, I need, like, please don't tell me, you know, like, this is who I think it is, because if it is, it's gonna hurt just as bad, right? So he walks by them, and you know everyone else is kind of talking and speaking to him, like asking questions about aspects and stuff. And Oberyn is just dead set on finding who these people are. Checks the robes, looks at their faces, and
it's not the first people he finds.
And it's not the first people he finds.
Second. It's
like the third, fourth. It's a, like, and they're all kind of in like their own little group, right? And it's his mentors, the people that taught him everything about being
magic,
everything
about magic.
The reason he's so proficient in Arcana and everything, like with the magic, and how he can control his eldritch powers so like fairly and decently, is because of these people. And now they're dead. And it wasn't because of like
wasn't even an ideological thing.
It wasn't ideals. It wasn't like a thing. It's like, no, Cerulean had to kill them, because if she didn't kill them, we would all be dead. Oberyn's, and that's why Oberyn's so like locked in on that. For like while Zion and Edwin and them are like looting corpses or searching around and like looking for like trinkets and stuff. But the thing is that Oberyn didn't know all of them. He knew these people. So like you were looting people that he didn't know, you know? But like to him, if you were to desecrate these corpses, he'd probably be angry about it. But you guys didn't touch them, right? And
I don't think we did.
No,
we?
you guys. I think you guys left them alone because you guys kind of went over.
Drow started piling bodies, and you guys started
taking
them.
Yeah, you might have been doing.
I might have pickpocketed one of them.
Yeah,
well,
but
I hope not.
But yeah, the ones that they
Oberyn
didn't
left before you guys would have seen them.
Yeah, and Oberyn kind of dead set, you know, sitting there. He kind of gets on his knees and like next to him
and hits the floor. He
hits the floor and starts like punching it in anger because he's at a point of confliction. All this time, you know, he's got this power. He doesn't understand what or why or how.
And we talked about it for a second, right?
Yeah.
It was like Oberyn was trying to like struggle with the fact like this was to save us. Like it started with the city and now it's my mentors.
Yeah.
Like, and this was to save us. What are our lives worth that it's costing this much?
Yeah, like the reason why she nuked the town was to get stronger for later, and she needed that, but at the cost of hundreds of, maybe thousands of people.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
it was the capital of your nation.
Gone, but she had to do it because
if you look at the map, the Dominion is huge,
and it's gone.
Well, the capital.
The capital is gone. Yeah, but still,
it's the I take the ideology of. Just because you kill Asgard does not... Asgard is a people, not a place.
Right.
The Dominion is the people, not a place. It's the capital is merely a...
It was a shining star upon a hill.
Yeah, it's a persona, like, look at how awesome we are, blah,
this
blah,
is our symbol,
blah.
yeah.
Right. The Dominion is not going to fall apart because the capital's gone. Obviously, the Dominus is still alive.
It was like a two-hit punch, right? You're blowing up the capital, which kind of gives the Dominion a little bit of like ooh, that's weird. Like they just blew up the capital. Like that's you know, that's gonna give them a little hit.
That's sus.
Yeah.
Right.
But also it's a means of I need to do this. I'm not malicious in the point of like I want to kill people because I like killing people.
And that is what you guys took it as at first. 100%. I think you, Mitch, saw that there was maybe something more to why she was doing it.
Yeah,
but it was hard to. It was amorphous.
Yeah,
to see the reasoning behind it, and even still, you're not completely sure.
And Oberyn was completely taken
mysterious.
by it because, like, he's like, I witnessed an entire capital gone, and again, I couldn't stop it. But now he's sitting here with his dead mentors. You know, and
not only could you not stop it, now you see that
there was a reason why she needed to.
There was a reason, and even now, she still needs more.
Yeah.
She went after somebody that you knew, people you knew.
Yeah.
People that raised you.
And killed them, and it still wasn't enough.
And now they're gone.
Yeah, and Oberyn sits there,
and it was for you still.
Yeah. It's...
God, that'd be tough.
Yeah, for Oberyn, it's tough, all right? Because he has...
And nobody knows. That was the beauty of that scene.
No one else knows.
No one else but me and Kyle knew what was happening.
Yeah.
we retcon this statement, but at
Yeah.
first Zion walks up to Oberyn like, "What'd the floor do to you?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he
his
hit the
bloodied
floor and he had
hands.
bloodied knuckles. I was like,
But the only people who knew were
The
me.
punch. Nobody else knew the punch but us.
Yeah, and like I said it like I punch, and people are like, "Why would you do that?"
And nobody else even saw
No.
a glimpse of it.
And like Oberyn,
But
yeah.
that's part of the beauty of this game to me.
yeah,
We had a moment
Yeah.
where we both understood what that meant.
yeah. Because when you told me, like, you looked at these people and you knew who they
You
were.
recognized them.
Yeah, I knew immediately who they were, and that angers
And it
Oberyn
was-
so
it
much.
was right there. That
Yeah.
that we did you feel it?
Yeah, like there was like a sense of like it all clicked because it was like because he gets angry, but it's not out of anger of like it's an anger of like it had to
it's
be
when
done.
you
It had to
punch
be
the
done.
floor and it's God damn it, but it's the tears crying because you're not angry with what happened. You're angry that this is the situation that had to happen.
Yeah. It's a sad it's a feeling of I never got to say goodbye to them and they had to die to save me. But I still have that like I haven't seen these people in so long and the first time I see them they're dead. And it's because of Cerulean. But Cerulean didn't kill them because of malicious intent. She killed them because she needed to save us. And so he's like angry at Cerulean but also like sad cuz it's like this is what we have to do.
What is the cost of
it's
salvation?
a tough choice.
And Zion, even, you know, he retracts his statement, but I do tell him who they were, and he's the only one that does know, because no one else was there to see him. I tell him, like, yeah.
I don't, to be honest, I don't even remember what I said as Zion after you told me.
I think what you said before was like, well, it wasn't like a what did the floor do to you, but you saw me there in anger with like tears.
Well,
And you
yeah,
saw that I
because
was like,
because you do tell me that they were your mentors.
Yeah, like
and I just don't. I think I didn't know.
No,
what
I didn't.
Me
I
as a
didn't.
player or me as a character was like, oh fuck, oh fuck,
Yeah.
like this is
because,
not.
yeah, and he does, and
good.
Oberyn doesn't give Zion a chance to say anything
Oh, that's right. You leave right away.
because he says it and leaves.
right, because I wanted
Yeah.
him to identify the.
You wanted to come up to me and
Fucking
talk.
yeah.
Yeah, you went up to me because you were like, "Oh yeah, Oberyn's up here." But like, think about it from your point of view. You go in here, you walk past them, right, and you start to like check around and search
Just
for
a
stuff.
bunch of archmages that are dead.
Right, and you come back because you're like, "Oh yeah, there's this weird vial. I guess I can go to the guy who knows a little bit about this stuff." And you come back to him sitting at this like
Still sitting in the same
still
spot.
sitting there on the same spot. This time with bloody knuckles and tears in his face.
And Zion's head, he's probably like, wow, this dude is not going to find anything on these dead bodies. Obviously, you've been up here looking through them. The fuck?
Yeah, and
And
you
then he
see-
gets there
and you
and-
see that Oberyn is like, no, these people were essentially my family. They were
Yeah.
they were the people who taught
They
me.
were the parental figures. They at
Yeah.
your lowest moment, they picked you up.
Yeah, they
and
helped
cared
me.
for you and showed you something that you've never seen before.
Yeah, they were
It
essentially
helped
my,
you become the adventurer you are today.
yeah. And that's what, and it's like they were the people that taught me like everything about, and then I like charged my Eldritch Blast as if like this is what this is where that came from. This is why I know this stuff. And he gets up, just dead stare, kind of like stone faced, as if it's just like there's nothing else to say, and he just walks back because
Because Zion he doesn't have anything else to say. And like,
Right.
in that moment, I'm like, oh.
See, but you didn't know. You didn't know what was the subtext to what happened.
No.
Yeah, no idea.
Well, he says those were his mentors. I'm like, oh shit.
And even I remember what you said before. Oberyn is over the bodies, and he says like the phrase that they've taught him.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because he
Yeah.
says
That's
it
right.
sells it in like perfect high elven, like
Yeah.
ancient elven, that
Old
like
Elven, yeah.
yeah, that like
And
that
I'm
like
like,
death
where
is
did you-
because the phrase is death is the last chapter of time and the first in eternity.
Yeah.
And that resonates even more with him because that's the phrase that he's lived with for so long, that death is not the end. And now it literally takes meaning with this aspect. And it
And
makes
for
him think,
Zion, it's just like, wow, that was really good high elf.
yeah,
I don't think I can even say that.
That's a
like,
really good phrase of high elven that I don't think I've heard in such a long time.
Yeah, like,
and he
shit, where'd you
speaks
learn?
it with such fluidity that it's
Yeah.
like, you know, and that meaning, that saying
such a
takes
deeper
so
meaning for
much
you with
meaning
it.
for it because it's like death is not the end, and he can take it both ways. Where it's like, I can't die, and I can't.
Think about it this way.
You know,
death is not the end; it's the first chapter in eternity.
You're stuck.
Well, Cerulean killed them.
Yeah,
but their death gave you the chance at life.
It's like a circle of life. Like the lions eat the
know.
gazelles, and then the lions die, and they become the grass and the soil, and then the gazelles eat the grass.
Death is your chapter in eternity.
Yeah,
that's what you
quite
are
literally
now.
Because you live forever.
Yeah,
yeah. It takes on so many meanings from just that alone.
So deep.
And so
fucking Zion ruining
and
his
none of that was
assness.
planned.
No,
like your mentors being there was planned by me.
Yeah,
but the meaning comes from
yeah.
the attachment that you have to them, and it's just beautiful. And you can't ever plan perfectly these things.
It hurt. It hurt Oberyn so bad to see these people that he knew for so long die without even knowing they were here. Like with Mitt, with Zion and Aaron, you had chances to talk and chances to rebond and connect, right?
Yeah.
For Oberyn, whose whole life he's been alone since, incidents that had occurred.
And that's why I did it.
Again.
I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That's why.
Because it's another instance of him not being able to do anything about it because you were somewhere else or you just weren't or you're powerless to stop it.
That is the common thread throughout Oberyn's story is he just couldn't be there.
Yeah.
At the right time.
If I was just stronger, if I was just
faster,
there, if I was faster,
stronger, if he was just
enough.
And that's where the line ends. If he was just
every single time. And again, this happens with his mentors. He's lost his family. He's lost his real family, and he's lost his now new family. And now he's with this group, and now he's thinking, if they die, I have nothing. Cerulean saved us, yes.
And she views you as family.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean?
Right.
To you.
A family member just killed my other family. And to Oberyn, it's all just another reason why he why he got the aspect in the first place as a means to I need help. Every single time that I had the choice or the chance to save somebody I cared about, they have died, and I was just not enough. Now my mentors are gone. And he gets up and leaves. And we kind of skip a little bit later. We uncover the vessel from she manages to pull it out from where it was.
Do you want to give the audience kind of a rundown of the meanwhile that I have going on in the background as you guys are at the manor?
Yeah. So Matt had us roll a perception check because as soon as Cerulean pulled this out and introduced us to Ohm, well, not introduced, but had us start talking with Ohm, she rips another space-time transport.
She creates a system in the universe.
She creates a rip, and then she just kind of...
And a lot of us didn't roll high enough to see through the rip.
Except for Zilavana and Arthur.
Yes.
Who
and
only didn't see... they just saw her...
Saw not very much. They just saw a god fall.
They saw Cerulean jump up onto the warfront and jump down Attack on Titan style, right in the wall.
Right in the wall.
And then you see Bahamut.
Before then.
Oh, yeah.
All of the Legion are on their knees, and they have an open flame in their hand, and then that flame rises up, and that all connects into a giant tidal wave of fire.
Yeah.
Behind Bahamut, where he is about to throw this into the city. And then she runs through, activates her aspect, and all that fire burns away right before it hits the city. And then she Attack on Titan style goes off the side of the wall. And that's
then we see, and I think we see Bahamut
she
drop.
makes eye contact.
And then
she sees Bahamut, and then he falls.
And that's it.
And that's what they see. But
what we don't see, and I think honestly is probably the coolest scene
so
that we've
badass.
Every scene that just when you sit back and hear Matt just talk about the coolest shit. Every single time just seems to get better
and better.
I liked the tiefling fight with my dad because it was honorable. It wasn't a thing where it was no, I'm here to kill you. It's just I need to prove my strength to you kind of thing. Then there was the war stuff before that, and now this was essentially for the people who are out.
Time passed.
Time
Tell them
did
how much
pass.
time passed first. You guys were questioning.
Oh yeah.
21 days.
21 days passed. So a lot had happened in those 21 days as well. But we kind of get to this pinnacle. And for those who've probably seen Invincible, honestly, Matt, if you want to do that at some point, just look up Omni-Man beating the shit out of people. He's essentially like almost like All Might if he was just like, I'm killing everybody. Like he essentially what happens is Bahamut goes up against essentially the Avengers level style of fighters that Cerulean has now like recruited.
She has amassed. Do you want to talk about who they all are?
I got you. It would be Zion's dad, who is confirmed alive, which we kind of had suspicions for.
But I have my own suspicions.
Of course, Zion and no one saw the Dominus there, but the out of player, we know he's still alive. We see my dad, Yasuke Valandris, doing his stuff on a Pegasi and all that.
Yeah, he rides in on a Pegasi.
Rides in on the Pegasi, which is interesting because he is an ASMR being, so he can just kind of. But he's like the Pegasi are cool too. And then there was the Tiefling,
actually faster. Just
yeah.
Than his wings, but
that's fair. And then the Tiefling with the Shadow Blade. I think it was
Light Drinker.
I was gonna say Life Drinker, but I was like it's Light Drinker.
Oh, man, if I could get that sword,
you might.
That's only one. Can't do a wield, but
right. But imagine.
That's fine. I'll just have
Light Drinker. He came in on a mount too. Do you remember?
And then, he
came in on the dragon,
the red dragon.
Yeah,
because he always had that red dragon with him. So,
he's a dragon rider.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe,
so cool.
I believe there was. I remember you mentioned there was an axe covered in ice.
Yeah. That's from the.
Was that from the
Dominus?
Dominus.
Okay, I thought it was somebody else, like some barbarian dude, and I was like, is that something with Arthur? But it was the Dominus with an ice covered axe.
It was those three. It's the Dominus.
It's his war axe hammer hybrid. But
right. And it was him, my dad, the Tiefling, and Cerulean.
Yep.
And they rushed him, and they got.
Cerulean didn't do much, but she did do one thing.
She died.
Well, yeah. But
yeah.
Do you remember what her job was? She said it to him when he was going after her originally. When he like sidestepped and the orbital drop came down and he ripped the sword out of the sheath from that Platinum Legion soldier.
Essentially, she was kind of on the.
Bahamut sentenced her to death.
Yep.
And he was coming after her, and she goes, "Oh, it's not my job to kill you. I'm just supposed to weaken you. It's their job." And then that's when dad came in and stabbed him in the back.
Yeah, it sucks that they were not.
You said it was very dishonorable. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah,
it
was. That was something to note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your dad did my dad, who is all about honor, just stabbed this almighty god in the back, which shows you how desperate he was to like kill Bahamut.
See, and this
even
is
the most honorable. Would
this is lack of player and character knowledge here.
My dad's
the
cool.
Dominus. Like I know how my dad is. Zion knows how his dad is, and it makes total sense why he's pairing up with this just ravaging aspect of annihilation and wanting to kill Bahamut because he's constantly in the Dominion's way and causing him problems. That makes sense. The Tiefling person.
We don't really know his motive.
But he seems like a guy that just causes some chaos. So, again...
He has a very...
He went and took your dad's kingdom.
He did not take my dad's kingdom.
I thought he went toe-to-toe and he won.
Okay. If we take a look at everything that the Tiefling has done, right? Everything he has done has been something to maybe cause the Platinum Legion a little bit of discomfort. When he attacked that city and the Platinum Legion came in, he was like, oh, finally they're here, like that kind of thing. Because he's essentially the kind of guy who's like, something happened with him and the Platinum Legion that makes him completely say, fuck them. We don't know what it is, but he's
very astute, Kyle.
But something happened to him where he's like, I will join you, not because I hate the Platinum Legion and I hate Bahamut. Something happened to him that caused him great, great pain for him to do this.
Right, and that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why your dad was there. It just doesn't make any sense because it seems like your dad's very honorable and doesn't cause a lot of rifts. He's very powerful.
The thing too, which is very interesting to me. I've read books about the Valandrian Empirica.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't ones to fight in wars.
Yeah,
they never fight, and they don't
cause a lot of rifts.
They were like America in like pre-Pearl Harbor. Yeah, they were like
they're isolationists.
Yeah, we were like we do not
We got floating islands. You guys do.
You
whatever
guys do
you're
this,
doing. We're good.
but
up here.
obviously
We're
this
surrounded
was,
by this Titan.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
But obviously something happened to us. I mean, to the Empirica that would cause my dad to take up arms. Kind of like with fucking Pearl Harbor. Obviously, Japan had to come and attack America for America to finally be like, oh, I guess I can jump in and do this. Of course, it wasn't like Bahamut maybe came to the Skyward and fucking starting shit.
Well, didn't they?
But we don't know.
Didn't we see the Platinum Legion head towards the Skyward?
They were coming
headed in that direction.
They were heading.
But they were
in
just
that
headed in
direction.
that general direction.
They weren't.
Right.
The rest of the world is to the east.
Yeah, we were on the far west side. They were just heading.
true.
We don't know if they were for sure going that way. It's interesting we didn't see the Dawnbringer there, seeing as they are a resident of the Skyward, which is also interesting. But the situation with
a free walking Titan probably doesn't want to get involved against a god where they'll lock him up.
right,
or her.
and the thing with the Tiefling and my dad, it wasn't a thing of like I'm taking your kingdom. It's I need your forces to help. That's why when he won, he took the Pegasi and he took all the forces, the armies.
Okay.
Because he was like, I'm not here to take your army. I'm here to prove.
And time has a
Definitely
significant
passed.
amount of time has passed since then.
Yeah, and
So now,
oh, yeah.
not only have you rallied the forces of that kingdom, but you've spent time with them.
so you get to understand their motives. and
So your dad is now fighting with him, and not only is he fighting with him, but he's adopted
tactics
techniques
from them.
from them.
Yeah.
Why?
Why would he do that? Right?
Well, see, yeah, the dominance, that makes sense. Like,
And
he
so-
hates Bahamut.
And one of the,
The Tiefling, like, got something out against the Platinum Legion. Makes
my
sense.
dad,
I don't get your dad. Like,
right?
maybe it's just the Tiefling's like, hey,
But I don't. My dad
We
is
really
stubborn
need your
enough to
help.
not be the kind of guy who's like some random dude comes up to me and asks for my help. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
give him my help. Of course, proving yourself in battle is good too. But is that enough to win me over? Not really. You need to give me a reason.
It's enough to where you have to honor tradition, but after that, why would I join you?
Obviously, and even Cerulean asked about when the 21 days passed. Where do you all live? What happened to those places, right? It's such a key moment that I feel like we may have just thrown away. Because Cerulean was literally asking us, where are y'all from? You need to tell me because that place might be fucking gone, all right?
well, she nuked mine. She knows where I'm from.
Right. But like Arthur, me,
Yeah.
Leafa, she knows from the Underdark. That's how and then she grabbed them from there. And then, Sylvana and Liz's character, she where are you from?
Right.
And
So we got off on a bit of a tangent. Sorry.
Yeah.
To rein it back in. They're fighting Bahamut
Yeah.
in this scene.
yeah.
What happens?
They get molly-whopped, all right? His dad pinned down with a obviously he's rocking a two-handed weapon with one hand,
A
which
two-handed great sword.
a two-handed great sword.
It's
with
actually the
one
Holy
hand,
Avenger. I never said
Yep,
it.
the
but
Holy Avenger.
It is the Holy Avenger.
and pinned it into your dad or my dad. Was it his dad or my dad?
Your dad.
My dad.
Yeah, he
Pinned.
stabbed Valandris and stapled him into the ground with the sword.
Through the Dominus.
He picked up the Dominus by the throat and threw him at the other. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're getting tossed around.
They get hits in, though.
They do
and
get
that's
hits.
important.
They do injure him.
They do.
They do the "do you bleed?" and if it bleeds, we can kill it kind of thing.
Yeah, even gods can bleed. That's what that's
what
what the one that is many said to you a long time ago.
Yeah, even gods can bleed. And we saw.
Gods
we didn't
can
see it
bleed,
like
O
personally,
champion
but
mine.
yeah, we saw him almost mortally wounded. However, he does come out with most of us being, or either most of them being incapacitated, or in cases Aurelian.
Well, and remember, he doesn't fight them alone.
no, he has
He's
his
got his
Because
Platinum
he's
Legion.
fighting them,
Mhm.
and then he has the two come down next to him.
Yep, the female and
Oh.
male
He's got the female and male, and then that's when
things hit
things turn.
yeah. So Cerulean kills the female.
So then we cut.
Yeah.
So they're fighting, and none of the stapling or anything like that happens yet. They're just fighting him, and he's doing his best to hold them off.
Yeah.
Then those two drop in, they come out, and that's when we cut. And then we
Back.
cut back.
Yep.
And when we cut back, that's when people are haggard, and then that's when he's bloody, and he's got
He's
the
fought
sword.
for a while. Yeah.
And the man that dropped in is unseen, and Cerulean has the woman.
By the throat.
No, like on the ground with the dagger to the throat.
Yeah.
And like She says, "It sucks when you can't save the people you care about."
She doesn't say sucks, but yeah.
It
must hurt.
It must hurt.
You can't save the people you care about.
Yeah, and then slits her throat. And that makes Bahamut go fucking ballistic.
Yeah, because as she slits her throat, she's choking on her own blood. And then, to make sure, I didn't deliver the line, but it was supposed to be delivered. Sorry, heaven can wait.
Yeah, and you can...
When you're in an aspect, what is death?
Yeah.
It adds to your power.
So you, yeah.
Oh, no.
Heaven can wait, yeah. And she...
Takes that power.
Yep.
Jeez.
And she goes into this.
There's no afterlife when you get killed by her aspect.
Oh, yeah, I completely
There's
forgot about
no...
that. Yeah.
She takes your power.
She takes your power and essentially just, you have nothing now. Yeah.
There's nothing left.
Yeah. So he goes full on angry, like ballistic. And we don't...
The wrath of God.
We've never seen Bahamut act
And
like
he
this.
goes for her, and then she's gone. Remember?
Yep.
Because then she teleports up into the sky,
and he's
above them, and drops right in the middle of the army.
Yep. And just kills like most of that army
and
too.
And boom.
Yeah.
The ship's in the sky, the soldiers on the ground. She nukes it.
She just nukes it. Yeah. And this time though, Bahamut still watching is like.
Because the nuke goes off, he watches his army get destroyed, and then she's just there, hair
Big
waving
grin.
in the back, grinning, looking at him, and that's just when.
And he's like, "How dare you smile at me after everything you've done?" And he just goes full on like, "All right, he's like, I sentenced you to death, but now, like, I'm gonna make sure." I'm going to make sure you die.
I'm going to murder you.
I'm going to eviscerate your fucking corpse. And he just straight up goes for as hard as possible with the wrath of God.
Flames,
just giant waves of flame. And he's just flying at her with, like, incredible speed. And he's able to, like, actually kill her. Like, she dies. But, of course, she's an aspect, so she goes to her sword space. And he figured that out.
What happens when you go up? Just for people, I
so
don't
like
know if they know.
the rip, there's like a rip, right? And
there's
at least
a beam.
Lightning. Yeah,
not a beam. It's like lightning.
Oh,
purple lightning. Isn't it purple lightning?
Oh, okay.
Purple. Yep.
Purple lightning shoots up into the sky, and Bahamut, which I didn't think you could possibly do, just grabs it and rides the lightning right up through the sword space, and he enters her realm, and we get to see why Cerulean made this realm in the first place the way it is, because it was supposed to be set up as like a trap for Bahamut, because she knew if anyone was able to get here, it'd be Bahamut. And if I can weaken him enough in the material plane, bring him into my sword space and kill him there, I win. It's over.
There's no takesies backsies. This is her cyst in the universe that she has full control over.
Yeah, and this is my realm. If I kill you here, I win. No one will be able to recover your body. You're gone.
And your power can't escape anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe in the prime material it can escape, but not here.
Yeah.
This is me.
This was her master plan. She
It's like trying to get out and it's like doink, doink, doink.
Right.
She can't escape.
She had to like, it was almost like she had to die to lure him in.
Oh, I'm sure chess game mind was.
It was like the ultimate play.
Would you just that expends her power.
Right.
The nuke, that's all of her power given form.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you still have spells that you have, but your aspect is now like depleted.
Yeah. So you have to die to refill it.
To look at him and smile.
You're egging him on. Like, yes, kill me, please. Because
when you know you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes, and that's just the tactical mind of Cerulean, and it brings them into the sword space, right? Has
already has some of Oem in there.
Has people of Oem shooting down with bows, and he's getting struck with like Leonidas on 300. The arrows blot out the suns type style, just bombarded with arrows.
Gets thrown a moon at him.
Gets thrown Thanos style, like a moon, just coming down on him, crumbling the city.
Yeah.
And yet he's still standing.
And I made sure to say that he is bleeding a lot. Like there is blood like covering him as he's clawing his way through the rubble.
Yeah, he's not.
And then in bounds, he gets up to her.
Yeah, and
starts
he starts
choking
to
her.
like get
One
up and then
hand,
start
he has her
moving.
up.
Yeah, Terminator style. And Matt does mention for the first time in possibly ever for Cerulean
Well, that you have
that
seen.
we have seen.
Well, and you don't see, but
Right. But
for the
she's
first time in a long time.
the cracks behind that like confident bravado has faded and she starts to be scared. Like she's afraid. Like if at first he was like, if I kill him here, I win. If he kills me here,
That's the risk of the sword space. You're
Right.
the most powerful, but
even at
If
your
you
most
die.
powerful,
You die.
yeah, even at her most powerful, Bahamut still just full on grabbing her by the throat, bloodied with like you said it was gold coming out of him and
gold.
stuff.
He has gold blood. He's a god.
Platinum dragon, gold blood. Golly, what a
You'll remember
Yeah.
other gods that you know have gold blood as
yeah,
well.
yeah. It's just kind of funny
just
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like grabs her by the throat like Superman, just like, do you bleed and that kind of stuff, and then
You will.
you will, yeah, and then and she somehow just with just clutching in panic, teleports out of there on the brink of. He was about to just squeeze and just kill her because she was very close. Because this whole fight, also, she goes into the sword space completely rattled. She's not like she is like confident because like this is my space, but she's also incredibly weak because when you die, you do come back.
Well, usually,
weaker.
I made a note
Yeah,
to also
usually
say she's
yeah.
not naked. She has her armor on, and she looks better than you all when you enter your sword space.
Because fair. Yeah, I do remember
Because
that. She's been, yeah,
she's not new at this,
yep. So when she,
and this was her plan from the start.
yeah, and even in that moment, still wasn't enough. Teleports
Still
out of there,
wasn't enough.
and they don't teleport to the same place. Thank God. They teleport to two different areas. So Bahamut goes to like a temple and
So
gets
wait,
like impaled. Like,
Bahamut.
right?
Oh, he does teleport out
It was panic.
It was a panic
She
teleport.
panic cast teleport
And
on
teleported.
him and her.
yeah, right there. He has her by the throat.
Yeah, because by extension,
Did she
they're
twin
touching.
that?
No. Teleport.
Yeah,
You
how
can
d-
teleport a number of creatures around you.
Yeah,
to separate places?
You can
You can
pick
send
the
them.
spot for you. I think.
for Bahamut
Okay.
it was different because he landed on a temple and
Well,
like got
and she
impaled.
cast for the most familiar place to her.
Which was the
Right, and the
Okay.
most familiar place for Bahamut would be the temple.
yeah, but he's trying to kill her? He wouldn't cast teleport.
No. By
It was
extension,
her.
yeah.
She cast the most familiar place to
To-
her. Ergo, she's not taking him with.
Right.
She doesn't want to, but
Yeah.
he's coming with. So
But-
you go to your most familiar space. I'll go to mine.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so he goes back to. Doesn't he get
Okay.
impaled on the temple too? Or does
No,
he?
he just he hits
Plummets
into like the side or the roof. I think.
Okay, so he plummets into his temple, and she teleports into the vessel, which is
Yeah.
actually kind of
She
interesting.
teleports to you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say if she teleports to the vessel,
Oh.
that means that would be the most familiar place. She's been there before, but it's more like
She has been there before.
She has.
yeah. But this was like more of a familiar, as in
People.
because there's only one place that I know everyone would be at. So she teleports to us, and she's rattled and bloodied and like messed up, and
Oh, man, I wish we could go back to that scene and just
do it again.
do it again.
Mitch, if you want to take it up, pick it
Yeah,
up.
go for it.
Go for it.
Okay, so Cerulean shows up, and at this point, we had just heard Leafa had just told us all where she actually comes from. She had lied to us, and she wanted to come clean about that. Kind of very character development of her type thing,
Yeah,
where
which is-
she's kind of committing. Like before, she was on the fence about being together as a group, and now I think she's bought into the idea of us as a group, and this is her way of showing that, where she actually tells us where she's from and what she's about and
Who she really is.
who she really is. Yeah, which is honestly, she's the first person to do that out of the entire group, where she just
Yeah.
comes forward with
'Cause
it.
I think with Oberyn, he did a little bit when he was reading the empirical.
Yeah, but that's because you read about
Empirica.
it, and we were like, "Hey, what's
Like,
this
what's
about?"
the-
This
importance
was
of it.
just in
This was-
earnest.
Yeah,
this is
like
who I am.
nothing sparking this. Like
Yeah.
I trust you guys now. Well, she doesn't say that, but she's like,
Yeah,
That's
because
the olive branch that's extended through
Yeah.
her.
yeah,
coming
because
forward.
Oberyn didn't say anything about his backstory. He's just like, I am an ASMR. This is my dad.
"Yeah."
But
it's
her, she
not-
was like, this is who I am, my family, my where I lived, what I did.
"I trust you guys with this information
Exactly.
now."
And then right as she finishes, boom.
Cerulean shows up, and Edwin was about to say the poem he had,
Yeah,
and Cerulean shows up. We're like, "Oh my god!"
rattled.
Do you remember what she says to him?
That would be nice.
Yeah, with earnest eyes.
She smiles a little bit too. Like
With the kindest eyes and the warmest smile, she says that.
she was like actually happy to be around us.
Which takes Edwin by surprise because up until now, he's been very skeptical of Cerulean because he feels as though he's being puppeted. And I don't mean to speak for Daniel and his character at
That's
that
an
time.
accurate portrayal of how Edwin
Yeah.
And
feels.
he does ask the OM that too. He's like, it feels like we're being puppeted by Cerulean, and
Yeah.
we're not actually being like ourselves and things like that. And then she comes down rattled and broken, happy to even see us here.
Yep.
Completely unaware of what she had done.
We have no idea what she's done.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
see her rattled.
Yeah, and she's just there and bloodied and beaten, and we're all sitting there like, oh my god. And
Yeah,
Edwin,
for you guys, it's been like maybe an hour.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she's just bam bloodied. And last time we saw her, she was like
Perfectly fine.
perfectly fine and feeling good, and she just, I'll be right back, and just do this. I gotta do this thing quick, and I'll be back. And then she comes back, beaten.
Ooh, just destroyed.
Edwin with like, for the first time, she sees like almost like a human behind those blue eyes, you know, like.
Yeah.
All this time she's acting like a boss, like, you know, like she's acting like, I tell you where to go, you do these things.
Wait.
However, now we see like and I'm doing air quotes, like the real Cerulean. Like this is who she is.
Yeah.
I'm not a bossy person. I just thought maybe I assumed that you guys would be able to handle these things, but obviously
Nah.
there needs to be some help.
Mhm.
And
that's not a bad I don't think she means that as a bad thing.
No.
It just
No.
we're just so new at this.
Yeah, she thought maybe like you guys could catch on to it maybe faster. But obviously I've been leaving you guys in the dust and trying to focus on my goal that I just completely forgot about you guys and that you also are new to this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought you guys would maybe catch on like I did or like catch on a little bit better. But
Yeah.
you're not me,
Well, and then
you know?
I forget how it transitions to the fight.
Arthur just kind of goes for it. I
Arthur, as soon as
think.
you said I'd like that, Arthur
Yeah,
just
Arthur
straight up
just went
cleaves
for
her.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
He just stabs her in the back.
Well,
right there with
and
the
then
great
that's
axe,
where
yeah.
Matt has us roll for initiative, and
Mm-hmm.
we start combat.
Yep.
And Arthur gets
And you'll also notice she doesn't use any aspect stuff. She uses spells.
Yep.
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know that she's out of aspect stuff.
Well, no, yeah, but just as a note, like I kept that vein in as well. She's tapped right now.
If she could, she would, but she
It's
can't.
the most opportune moment to kill her.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my!
It was.
She
It
just
is. She's also a high-level sorcerer, as you now learn.
As
Yep.
you definitely
So-
an arch sorceress.
Arch sorceress.
so Edwin
On
or
top
not
of being the aspect of annihilation.
not
She's also like Jesus Christ.
not Edwin. Arthur
Yep.
gets 2 good cleaves in her.
Yep.
Yeah.
As a surprise round, and then combat starts.
Yep. Does he go again?
He goes second. Una goes next.
Una would go next.
Una
for
was
the-
first.
the
It was,
bite.
he was
Yep.
second. She was
Because
third.
me and
And when in battle, I should say this. It had been so long since I had attacked with any of my stuff, let alone Una stuff. I had transitioned all of her stats and her attacks and everything onto my sheet of paper. That I was trying to find what I added to my roll because I rolled a 10, and you were like kind of like, let's do this. Come on, battle's going. Like,
sorry.
hurry up. No. That's how battle should be. It's very quick.
yeah,
and-
you have to kind of
You have to know
That's
your-
the one thing I do like. I don't like deliberation in battle. Like you're in it. Like
you should be.
and that makes total
you
sense. And
have-
I'm not like fighting you,
you
on
should
that
have.
at all.
No,
you should
yeah.
already have
But-
a plan in mind with initiative because you have a turn. You know when you have to go. So
I wasn't saying who was on deck, and that's on me.
Well, I knew that Una was going to go fairly soon, and I knew that I wasn't going to do a frost attack. I was going to do a bite attack because the frost cone in the bad
bad.
Yep.
idea. Bad idea. So I went with a bite attack. And I rolled a 10. I'm like, that's not a very good roll, but it's not the worst. And I was like, what do I add? What do I add? And you're like, what's the hit? What's the hit? And I was like, 10. And you're like, that doesn't hit. And Kyle was like, do you add anything to that? Because I'm pretty sure you saw my roll.
Yeah, I was like, don't you add anything to that roll?
I was like, yeah, I don't know where it's at though.
I was like, you should be pretty handy with it. I mean,
Yeah,
It's up
I
there.
finally found it. It was a +6 to hit, and I was like 16, and Matt's like still doesn't hit, and I'm like,
well, it's
Damn
Cerulean.
it.
It's Cerulean.
yeah.
Well,
She has a
her
high
AC
AC.
isn't
It's-
crazy.
I'm guessing it was like an 18.
Yeah.
Wow, that was good guess.
Arthur.
It's a solid amount of AC for the level that she is at with how fast because she's quick.
Yeah,
Yep.
She's not like insane.
she's spry. She's spry. You know,
she's quick.
Yeah.
And that goes into the whole like sorcerer, blah 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 blah. But
Yeah. To kind of continue off
Yeah.
with the battle.
Yeah, so Una tries to attack, misses the attack. Arthur then goes, attacks her again, gets a good amount of damage in, and then it was Cerulean that went? Yes,
yeah.
because then this is when we find out that she's a sorcerer because she has a green beam of light in her hand. Then she splits it.
Which was like, oh,
And that's a twin,
God.
which I know about.
Dual casters. Ooh.
Oh, dude, meta magic is so,
It's so good.
fucking
Yeah,
dope.
Yeah.
It's so good.
She just
Oh,
and,
so cool.
And the thing that she uses too on Arthur was like, it didn't have to do that, but she did it anyway as like almost like a flex
Point
of
of
power.
order.
Because like, this is what I can do.
186 points of damage Arthur took.
And that was with the low rolls. Over half, no, the majority, 3/4 of the rolls were 2 or lower, 2 or 1.
Oh, Jesus.
You get plus 40 on every disintegrate. That's 80 damage right there. And I was rolling I had her cast it at 7th, 8th level.
You
That's
passed
an
it
extra 6D whatever.
Oh, jeez.
So it was 16 D10, I think.
Yeah.
That I was rolling each time.
Sorcerers. So good. Recommend
she does
playing
cast
them.
this twin disintegration on just Arthur, who I'm pretty sure his highest his HP is like 66.
Yeah, it's
Just
it's not over
obliterated-
75.
Just obliterated completely. Turns into dust.
Literally. Disintegrate.
Yeah. And
He goes into a sword space.
a lot of us at that point were kind of like, oh,
Well, the majority of the party was on the fence about even attacking her.
yeah.
On the fence / the majority of us weren't gonna do it.
for Oberyn, it was on the fence for sure. Because for me, because what I did, and I feel like I could have did more, but I didn't. I just threw my fucking Edwin's rapier at.
Sylvana healed her when she came in.
Yeah, Sylvana chose to heal her because she saw she was wounded.
Yeah.
They
I
often
thought about doing cure wounds, but I'm like, wait a minute, no.
Why are we helping?
Why
She'll
are-
come back.
She just faced. We don't know this, but like
She's battered.
she's
injured.
really looking rough. What the fuck just happened?
And it's not like she'll die and become weak in the sword space. She'll just die and be like, oh, back in, right?
Yep.
And Oberyn, I mean, he could have did more, but he just threw a rapier at Edwin because it's like, here you go.
Neutral party.
Neutral party. But it was on the side of like, because he was still reeling from all that shit earlier. And even
Yeah.
like before Cerulean came in, when he went to like one of the rooms, he turned from his room that used to be just his house, or like a room in his house that he used to like be in, turned it into the monastery that his mentors like made for him specifically for a meditation circle. And I even changed the way that I meditated in this.
Yeah.
Because when I was with them, that's how I meditated. It was full on. It was in public with you guys. It was just sitting around and doing the old Doctor Strange stuff, right? But in this, it was like I had like eldritch energy kind of like charging from my hands, and wings sprouted around like a hug, like he said.
Yep.
Because I was like, he basically put himself in his own cage and was like charging energy, and like that's how he meditates in that room, because that's how he did it when he was with them a lot. Of course, he doesn't sleep in any of the rooms, so when like Edwin comes in, he's like, what is all this? And of course, Edwin doesn't know about why everything happened. So immediately, Oberyn looks back at him, and his eyes are like that pools of black, and then they kind of turn back into normal. And he's just like, oh, yeah, it's nothing. And he kind of just leaves because he doesn't want to. He can't just tell people, oh, yeah, this is my mentor's monastery, and they're all dead, and this is just something I cope with. The only one who knows that is Zion. And even Zion, he doesn't talk to Zion as much because he's like,
It doesn't know.
there was just so much.
He knows, but doesn't know.
He doesn't know the extent of how
Yeah.
far it goes. But to kind of go back to what we were doing with the battle.
Yeah. So then Cerulean goes.
Dusts him.
What?
Dusts Arthur.
Dust.
Absolutely
Thanos Arthur.
dusts him.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like,
And that was a way for her to say, I'm weak, but not that weak.
you can.
Like-
but she does respect him for
In-
trying.
Yeah. You have to.
Holy, his like going down, like beating up an injured
not
person.
only him.
And
Right? The
yeah.
wolf was going in and she saw somebody else draw the swords, but she knows he has a weak point.
That needs to be fixed.
I mean, make the dog.
Everybody's got a weak point.
I wonder what Oberyn's could have been if I mean, I guess he was.
We
Already
both know what Oberyn's could have been.
Yeah.
Or still is.
Yeah, he has a lot. So that's why he knows.
Anyway.
Yeah, so...
But yeah, you were going to make moves on her as well, right?
Yeah, I had swords drawn, ready to go. To give perspective, I was going last in initiative because I rolled a fucking 2. And I'm quick. I have a +6 on initiative, which is great when you roll like 12 or 15.
Yeah.
But, not when you roll a 2.
And now you're at 7, it's like, or 8, and you're like, ugh.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have a +4 to initiative, not +6.
Which is
6
still
is what I
good.
got in total, but +4 is still really good.
Yeah.
It just, So, I wasn't going for a really long time, but combat moves quickly. I was ready to go as soon as when it was going to get to my turn, to be honest, this was my plan. This is what I've wanted to do this entire time. As soon as I've gotten the meta magic, I was going to twin Shadow Blade and fucking do 48 damage on her and just...
Ooh. Yeah, meta magic is...
Same damage as Una's Ice Breath. But it'd be necrotic.
But now with you. But now it's just...
But now it's me doing it. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to, unfortunately. But... So when seeing that I was about to attack, she threatens Una with another disintegrate spell, like she has it ready in her hand, and
yeah, that would have been
because
bad.
Una got an attack of opportunity because Leafa's turn is next after Cerulean's. She casts what is Leaf?
Darkness.
She casted darkness to cover like us, so she can escape
because she grabs Cerulean,
right?
Which. For Leafa, that makes sense. She's not an aspect, and she sees Cerulean as an ally, and we're attacking her. She doesn't understand. She's
not in the mindset that you all are.
Yeah, she's not the deep. Yeah. She's not a part of it. She doesn't worship the teaching. She doesn't do that. So like,
I will say I was so proud, that you guys, understood. Truly,
because it's starting to click with a lot of us, and it's starting to click with Oberyn too. Not as much as like Arthur and Zion's case, because for Zion and Arthur, it's like we've already killed people. This is just another person we have to kill. For Oberyn, it's like I get it, I just can't bring myself to do it yet.
Right, but other people are.
Yeah,
and their aspects are, more not powerful, but action oriented.
Yeah, They need it. They kind of like it needs to be fueled by kind of...
Cerulean is, like you were saying once, the epitome of action in the deep, right? Mm-hmm. Yours is more behind the scenes. It's a lot more abstract.
Yeah.
Hers is abstract, but easier to enforce.
Yeah, hers is more like the wild.
Well, I broke it down on like a spectrum.
Right.
It's yours and Cerulean's are on the opposite ends.
Yeah. Passive. It's passive aggressive. Like
hers is like annihilation.
Passive and active, I would say.
Yeah.
Yours is a lot of setup and then payoff.
Yeah, it's a lot of like we have to
just payoff.
Mine relies on cause and effect, and hers is just the effect. Yeah,
because she's causing it.
Right.
She's the catalyst.
She is the catalyst, exactly.
Yeah, she is, and for me, it's like I need to set things up in place for other things.
You set up a domino effect.
Yeah.
You do this, and that causes this, and then what you want then happens because of the 5 steps you've have put in place that you then you knocked here.
Subtlety and overtness. That is the true, I think, separator.
And it starts to click with them. With all the death that has happened, hasn't been because of Cerulean killing people to kill people. She's doing it because she has to. And it's like almost like a lesson for Oberyn. She's teaching him like this is what you have to do. You need obviously I'm not doing this because I hate these people. Right. I'm doing it because I saved you. I did these because I saved you.
Well, and I think Arthur did a really good job of explaining why he was attacking.
Yeah.
He even said it.
He's like
when she went to his sword space, it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Because he was like, I'll get you next time. Yeah. And she smiled and said, yeah, I bet you will.
The students are starting to catch on to the master's teachings.
Yeah, and he did a good job of explaining like why he did it, because I think a lot of people in the party, like you've said, is like it's such a abstract thought of the deep. Like it's hard to get at first. It's so the upfront face of it is so brutal and just real and honest.
Yeah.
It's hard to see through that and be like, there's a deeper meaning here. So it's hard to see through that. But once you do, you get it. And I think Arthur is getting it.
He got it.
He's like, look, this person like nuked an entire city, and
as a lesson.
Yeah, and I feel vengeful. I'm taking revenge on that's. I need to.
She killed us to get more power. Obviously,
and I don't like that.
Obviously, he doesn't know why she did it.
Right.
Because he didn't see the battle. He did see Dominus, like the Dominus dropping down and like
she saw her dropping.
He saw her drop down, but he didn't see anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Bahamut. He saw
Bahamut, not the Dominus.
drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bahamut, yeah. So when Bahamut drops, that's all he sees. Mm-hmm. But he also saw that an entire town was nuked and all of his power was essentially siphoned by her, and that was the last thing he really had going with that. And now,
I can't explain this. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So like that's
yeah,
his reasoning behind the attack, and for Zion, I didn't get a chance to explain it, but it's like on my spectrum, Zion is right next to Cerulean. He's in between Sylvana and Cerulean, where it's like it's very aggressive, but there is a chess maneuver behind everything.
But you have to be overt because you are the one leading.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between leading and ruling, and there's a difference between leading and conquering, and you have to lead to conquer.
Yeah.
Bingo.
You have to get people behind you to advance said conquering.
But you have to advance it.
And that's the thing with Cerulean. I know she's the aspect of annihilation, but she's also been other aspects too. Like there's been moments where she shows like this is what you can also do. The cunning, when she kills those people, it's like you need to learn about the cause and effect. I did this to do this. That's for you. You know? The thing where she's like, I'm bringing people together to fight for me is like...
Think about the first lesson that she gave you all.
Yeah.
You've all taken that different ways, and all of them have been right.
Right.
All of them have been right.
She has...
What did the first lesson mean to Zion, Mitch? Because you talked about what it meant to you.
Yeah, what did it mean to Zion?
Yeah, what did it mean to Zion?
Remind me again, what was the first lesson?
Was the city.
The nuke.
Was the capital.
What did the nuke teach you?
If you haven't thought about it too much, that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Zion obviously has super mixed emotions about it because, like, as much as he hates his father, he does love the city. And not to get into it too much, but if he has the opportunity, he wants to rebuild it in his imagination of how it should be. And, like...
So then would you say the lesson taught to you is, in order to rebuild and conquer... then we have to destroy.
We have to reset.
What we did.
He saw it as a boop, boop, reset button.
Right. That's what
so
it is.
he's not necessarily mad about it.
No.
Sometimes in order to usher in the new,
you have to destroy the old. You got to out with the old, in with the new.
The old has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what she did. And she even says you'll end up like
you would have
ended up just like him.
father.
And that's
because I would have tried taking over a kingdom that isn't what I exactly want, and I would have just fallen in the old ways again. And
see, she wasn't saying like you would. It wasn't like the turnout to be Indominus, as in like you'll become like maybe you'll become like a violent ruler and an asshole. But she was more like talking about the ways of how you would rule. It was like you'll end up just like him in terms of the ways that you follow.
Which is not what which is how Zion wants it. He hates the way his father rules.
But he's
seen it firsthand, and he absolutely despises it. And that's where the bridge, because
the contention comes from.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Zion and his dad. Zion is the Dominus's son. There's a lot of similarities that Zion has to deal with that, unfortunately, they're just there.
Because Zion is
a lot of the ideals are there.
Yeah.
But the ideals that aren't are super important. And the execution of how you assert your will is one of them.
Yeah, because like...
He is through brute strength, and not to be a dick here, but you're my bitch.
That's...
Submission.
Submission.
Submission through strength.
Yeah, and Zion isn't strong by any... He uses his... I don't even know how to explain. He uses intimidation, obviously. When he flexes his wolf on people all the time, he's like... And he shot...
It's like he's hiding.
Zion doesn't crush people.
He wants...
You know what I mean?
He's not the kind of person...
He doesn't break people. He bends them to his will.
He's the kind of guy who's like...
Your father breaks people for his will.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. I think. I don't want to speak for
Yeah,
you.
because
No. I agree.
I think with your dad, because with Cerulean, she was like, you'll end up just like him, right?
And remember the dream you had.
Remember the dream? You do become like him. And the thing is that
Have dead bodies hanging out in a center field that I grew up around. Like, that's so dark, and
and
that's not Zion.
But that's the thing. You ever heard
what happens on your journey to become a leader in a place as ruthless as this? What do you have to become?
Dark.
To be in order, it's a
Cerulean just helps you get rid of a big part of that.
It's a classic case of like when you fight the monster, you become the monster yourself. You're so inept. It's like you're so into like I hate my dad. I hate my dad. I hate my dad. I hate my dad.
And I let that fester.
But in order to beat him, what do I have to
do? I can't be him.
That might be the best way to beat him.
Right. Because
guess who he can never go up against? Himself.
Exactly. And
your biggest blind spot is yourself. So
and like
Zion would have probably eventually figured out, like, I just need to become him and I'll kick his ass.
But that's not the way.
And it's not the way, but it's but it is.
It is and it isn't.
Well, it's not ideologically. This world isn't an ideological world, as you have quickly come to know.
Yeah, a lot. And that nuke was taken by a lot of things. For you, it was, restarting and trying to make something out of nothing.
Well,
and
it was a lot of learning for Zion. He lost people he cared about. He lost the city he loved. Because he wants to take up the ownership of the Dominus. He wants that. It's what he's always wanted, and that's what made him so mad when he lost that. When that was stripped away purely because of this half-blood in him.
Yeah.
That was so hard for him to understand, and that destroyed him.
Yeah.
That's where the real anger started, and then it festered, and then he was like, well, that's not exactly how you should lead. And if I ever question that, and I'm sure, like, not to get too far into the backstory, I'm sure if I ever did, it becomes like a Prince Zuko type situation where it's like, don't question what I do, bitch slap.
Right.
And that's just because that's how he asserts
dominance.
Yeah, not to be
rule.
His rule.
That's how he does it.
That's how he exerts his will through
strength.
Yeah. Through very, just strength and power.
And I mean, Zion...
Brutality is what the actual word would be.
And I mean, the first time I use the aspect is I take a guy by the scruff of his neck and slam him against a post. I'm like, tell me what is going on here.
But it starts to change, because then you start to act like your dad. And you're like, I can't be my dad. It's just no, because I hate my dad so much I can't be him.
It's a thin line to walk.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so compelling.
And then on Oberyn's side, too, like, the nuke taught him that you have to do these things because it helps you later.
Just because it seems awful and terrible now, it doesn't mean that that's the end game or the goal.
Yeah.
It's a real Thanos ideology.
And a lot of these things happened, right?
Like, I like dark themes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I do.
Like with
and we're going off on a tangent. We're kind of talking in circles a little bit.
Yeah.
But she comes back, you guys try to kill her. She dusts Arthur.
Threatens
to escape.
Starts wrapping her up. She goes and gets Arthur. They have a game recognizes game. You have that a little bit too with her as well.
Yeah. Well, she threatens a weak point, and I'm like, God, I can come back, but that Una can't.
And that is, and she respects that a little bit because
she respects that he was willing to go for it.
Right.
He had both swords drawn and was ready.
It's just the fact that of like,
but
I know you won't.
That
Arthur has that we've seen doesn't have that kind of weak point. At that we have seen.
Right.
We've only
not to go back to that.
Right.
But keep moving forward.
So we reset.
Leafa takes her into a room where she locks it.
Yep.
They talk about it.
For a little bit.
They wrap it up. They bring Arthur back.
Wrap it up. Bring Arthur back.
And we kind of discuss a little bit about what we should do for a plan. She kind of goes over what we need to. Oh, and I guess we also forgot to mention that Old Woman Cerulean gave us a new mission.
Yeah.
We had to go and
We have to
not kill, but capture alive a beholder, which is probably one of the most powerful monsters you could possibly face, because that thing is terrifying to fight, let alone to capture alive. With the amount of things you can possibly do with it. And we get this like mission, and Oberyn has like a thought of the reason why we're not winning, the reason why we always seem like we're losing, is because we're not strong enough. And this is like Oberyn's like realization of the point, like of that, like I'm not doing enough. It's not because that's fate. I have chosen not to do enough. In these instances, I had the power to do it. I just didn't believe I had the power to do it. If we hone in on that power, then we can do it. Because like he mentions, like, Edwin, you are the aspect of legend. You can see through time. Practice. If you want to know how these instances with the beholders go, you have something to see, to know. Even if it's not completely correct.
I do want to know from a DM standpoint how you plan on handling that.
Yeah, it's almost done.
Okay. It's just fascinating for me because like looking in the past, super easy. You just re-explain. It's like you notice this detail that you miss, which then a breadcrumb that we may have forgotten or a breadcrumb that we didn't pick up on in a check, you can be like, you learned this now. Take for it what you will. And then it's on Edwin to relay and divulge and figure out what that means.
Interpret the information, yeah.
But moving forward in time, that's like, I don't know how you handle that, because how do you DM and set that up to make sure that the things he sees
are true or not?
Actually happens. Like, that's just mind-blowing for me.
So I'll peek behind the curtain a little bit.
That's a good show. You check it out on Omni Entertainment.
Omni Entertainment. The future is never set. Yep. You are paracausal, so you're above fate. But time is funny.
Yeah. I would know that for sure.
Every being, and especially all of you now, make decisions. And decisions make different paths. So the future isn't so much a road as it is a stream.
Yeah, because I remember with Edwin's,
like think Avengers.
Yeah,
when they take a stone out, it creates a branch. Every decision that's ever made makes branches. Yep, and branches on branches, and time is beautiful like that.
And it also
that's why the matron of ravens is always so busy. Her job is fate, and she has. I've never explained it to you guys, but it's a beautiful tapestry of branches and time,
like
and
a loom,
fate.
kind of thing.
Not a loom.
Oh, okay.
It's like there are core decisions that are always made in different places,
right?
But they overarch and branch together, and some like come together through fate. And anyway, it's very esoteric stuff that I created.
And
that's super cool, though.
And that's the thing, too.
And that's the thing about looking forward in time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that can happen. Here are some of the most likely things to happen.
Okay.
It's not everything.
It's not set in stone.
You show him the most likely outcome.
Most likely, some of them, maybe I show him the worst one. Maybe I show him the best possible outcome. You're not
But it's
certain.
just something to go off.
It's something to go off of. It's even if it doesn't happen, it's a shadow of something that could have happened.
Because didn't he use his aspect when we were trying to go through the spider?
Yeah, because I remember he asked about it. Because I remember you said, "What do you want to find?" And he said, "I want to know if there's any danger." And one of the things he saw was us with the Platinum Legion being carried away by spiders and webs and stuff.
He saw a compound get attacked by spiders, and he also saw himself getting dragged away. Not in the same vein.
Yeah, but that was the thing.
So
he specified what he wanted to find. If he specifies it, you'll find a better outcome.
To help the audience and myself a little bit, just to make sure this connection makes sense. When we played The Last of Us and we pick up like a future totem, or like we pick up a totem that looks into the future.
Not The Last of Us.
The Until Dawn.
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see something and you're like, that looks bad. I hope we don't encounter that. And then scene plays out because you made a wrong decision and you see exactly what the totem showed you.
Yep.
Or you don't and you see it almost happen. You're like, but then the decision caused the character to do something and you're like, oh, if we didn't do this, then that would have happened.
Right.
So is that similar to what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you guys changed what you did.
Yeah.
You guys went around. You guys didn't go where you were, and then nobody ever got
no one got taken
or taken. Yeah.
And it's just a matter
maybe
of
the compound did, but
it's a matter of specificity with the Edwins, because obviously you can't just say, how do we win?
Yeah, I want to look 3 days into the future. Well, 3 days into the future, how many decisions do you make that cause branches?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be
a lot.
You have to be specific. Maybe if he gets strong enough, he can see that and see like multiple things. But right now, he can only see glimpses of things to come. The nuke, he didn't even know what the nuke was. He just saw himself in a blinding flash of light,
you just saw a blinding flash and then darkness.
And then that was the nuke. Then
Which
later,
is vague, but when you look at the nuke afterwards, you're like, oh,
that makes sense.
Duh.
But the more he does it, the stronger it will become.
And that was his first.
That was his first
foray into
what it is.
The future.
Aspect, yeah.
And so, it's
going to be very big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing with mine. It was like,
but afterwards you're like, oh yeah. Anyway,
hindsight's 20/20.
Exactly.
Oh, it's always the first time that makes it seem like it's just like, oh, okay.
So
it's very vague, very like out of nowhere.
Not to keep going down this rabbit hole, but like the first time I'm willing the captain to tell me what the heck's going on, like how is that my power being capped? Because like,
I think in your situation,
Edwin's was capped by the fact that he only saw this vague explanation, and Oberyn's was. What was the first?
The first time I used it was when I used it on the trees in the well.
Yep. Okay.
And then that caused
I guess, dual question. How was his capped being the first time he uses it, and how was mine capped being the first? Was mine, because mine was capped by the fact that this Mind Titan was like, nope, which makes sense. But again, it's the first time I'm using it. Right. So how would have that played out if I hadn't gotten Titanized?
Right. So you're using your will to exert a want on a person, right? A desire for something.
Yeah.
You can do it. That's one person.
Oh.
Conquest doesn't happen with one person.
You do it with multiple people.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's like you're able to do it with more people.
So I'm able to exert a lot more of that when it's just one person, but most of the time it's going to be armies of people.
Yeah.
In order to
vague what will happen in the future.
And then,
whatever,
and then for me, like at first, it seemed like my senses was like seeing like, because it was like a detect magic almost,
sort of,
where you can see like everything, right? And you can see like when I did it on the trees in the well, I could see the roots going into the well, and the well kind of like this, right? And at first, I didn't understand what it was. Like I knew, like, oh shoot, I can see things that like are almost naked to the naked eye, and it's almost like a true sight detect magic kind of thing. It's like, yeah. The more you use it, like the more I've used it, now it just triggers whenever. You know, it just triggers when I don't have to roll for it, and I can tell like there's things that've been scrubbed away with like the magic. When I saw that one bloodied up dude in the trail, and I could see like things like that kind of getting covered.
And that's more just because I haven't given you guys the key points yet. Each thing you use has a specific amount of like points that it'll use for the aspect stuff. It's also a great tool for me to show you that more is going on and to show that you have the insight to use it.
Yeah. And seeing these things, it makes him think like there are things here that other people can't see and things I can use to my advantage and things.
And I'm also showing you instances where you can use it. That's another.
Right.
Yeah.
There have been times, and there are some times when some instances are, kind of taken out of context. So it is rather strange because it's one of those things where it's for the first time users, completely situational.
Yeah.
Arthur's was triggered when he was going to die.
Yep.
And obviously it won't be every single time. Only when at this point, to first trigger it, you have to be in a situation where, like you said, you need to feel like almost an intense, like almost hate or like a feeling of revenge towards something to give you that boost of like, then activate this.
Right.
And he did mention it when he tried to cleave Cerulean if he could. But perhaps it didn't work because it was just like, did you really feel revenge for this person?
Right.
Or are you just doing it because you see an opportunity to kill somebody?
Exactly.
If you truly felt hatred toward this person, then I will give it to you. But the OM is like, I know you don't actually hate this person.
Well, and it doesn't come from them, right? It's your power now. But from the DM standpoint, it was a way to use your aspect to kill Cerulean, not
yourself.
You truly felt hatred in your heart. To me.
Yeah, that makes sense because, like, did you really truly feel that hatred towards Cerulean?
Right.
Or are you doing it just to kill her? If you truly felt revenge towards somebody, then by all means. But this, I know you don't.
It's not that I know. I just didn't see it. So maybe that's on me.
Fair. But I think to kind of wrap up this little session, we do discuss a plan. We discuss training our aspects because we know for a fact that we need to. Obviously, we're not strong enough as is, but with these aspects, we can at least have an edge. We don't even know Zilavana's and how hers works. We haven't seen Arthur's work yet. We don't know how they would work, and we need to see that. Even if that means some of us have to get killed or they have to try something out. Like, I was thinking, like, for Zion, aspect of conquest.
Yeah.
Why does he not just try exerting his will on one of us?
So that's the thing about paracausality.
You can't do it on yourself, huh?
You're above fate, right?
Right.
So
it'd be hard to really will someone toward your will if you yourself are paracausal and you can kind of just change how things. Yeah. But for Arthur, his is more like if he dies, doesn't matter how he. I mean, it might be how he dies because
it gets tricksy when you're dealing with it's. Can a god make another god do something? Well, maybe, but
it's a little tough.
It's not easy, and you have to have more power than them to get them to do something.
But
right?
We're at the same level,
right?
We're on the same like paramount of like.
And even if you're above somebody else, you're at such an echelon of power that
it's hard.
Can you even exert your will over another
person who
with
the same?
That is an idea now, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you able to do that?
Because Zion is conquest. You're cunning. Cerulean is annihilation. Can you exert your will over annihilation?
Or cunning?
Not really.
Can you really exert will on vengeance?
Right. Can you exert will over kingship? How do you overcome the right to rule?
Yeah. And that is just something that we have to talk about. And hopefully, I mean, Cerulean has kind of opened up a little bit. Not to the point where, like, here's who I am and here's my story, but more of like I'm willing to help you guys.
Learn
a little
our powers.
bit more. Because you guys...
And not only a willingness to help, but seeing the need to help.
Yeah. And she kind of feels like these people are... They're people. You know, before they were aspects, they were, you know, a bard, a drow, a human. Half-elf. Like, you guys weren't these paracausal beings. Great. I was a very powerful sorceress, and on top of that, now I'm a super powerful aspect. But you guys are just people. Like, some people can't fight. People who haven't killed before. I need to sit down with you people and talk. Person to person. Not as a boss directing you to things, but as a human being talking to you.
Family is a partnership.
Like a family. And she's starting to get that, and I think everyone else is starting to get that too. Oberyn is starting to realize, like, the things that happened had to happen, and there's no changing that. The only thing we can do now is focus on
the future.
What's next. That's why we need to train those aspects. It's also just working with the cunning. It's like, if we can do this now, we don't have to do it later, and that's going to help us in the long run. He's starting to, like, get used to what it means to be thinking about long-term effects and setting things up for later. Because obviously you didn't understand that until now. until he finally like had to see his mentors killed in this place, and he had to see everything in his backstory. I hope
that you find it, Oberyn, because there's something that I don't think people have. Not that they haven't understood, but they just haven't realized yet about how the deep works. And if you can realize it, then without me even needing to do anything, you can understand where the story needs to go.
Okay.
Not
right.
Not that there
is other ways for the story to go, but the story to go in like the right.
Not a right way, but there is a amount of things that I want to happen.
Right, and it's
in the story. There's a point that I want you all to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
if you truly understand like the Deep's teachings, you will find it. And I think if that's all right, that's where I want to end.
Yeah,
this
for sure.
This talk. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.